Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's presentation as part of the ABA LTRC Industry Insight webinar series. The topic this time is the rules of attraction, corporate clients, and document automation. Speaking today will be Mark Settle from HotDocs. Mark Settle is the Director of Technical Services at HotDocs. Mark and his client-facing team provide technical solutions for customers of all sizes in legal, banking, insurance, corporate, and other industries. Mark and his team provide pre-sales support, demos, training, project management, template development, integrations, and development services for HotDocs clients. Mark has a Bachelor of Science in Computer Science from Brigham Young University and has been with HotDocs for more than 18 years. The Industry Insight webinar series is hosted by the ABA Legal Technology Resource Center. To stay updated on upcoming webinars or view previous videos, visit ambar.org/industryinsight. You can also stay updated on legal technology news through our blog, www.lawtechnologytoday.org. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll now begin the webinar.
All right, thank you very much. So I'm excited to lead our webinar today and talk a little bit about corporate clients and document automation and the benefits that would bring you. So corporate clients for law firms can be challenging. There's a lot that needs to be done. There's overwhelming expectations. There's a lot of legal work that needs to be completed, typically on very tight deadlines. It's difficult to attract new clients within corporate client business as well, and they can be hard to retain, especially in today's economy as they look to reduce their legal costs and maybe even take more in-house. There's obviously a lot of corporate pressure for them to reduce legal expenses, and so they expect higher quality but with lower costs. In today's environment. And so that presents a specific challenge when serving corporate clients. So document automation is one of the tools that enables you to help to handle those challenges. And we're going to talk about how that can help you with those challenges today. So first, what is document automation? Document automation is a process that allows you to take a document that you have that you use within your business and mark it up and create a template from it. So in this screenshot example here we see maybe an engagement letter, and we start with some engagement letter document, and then we can create a template using a tool set that allows us to create fields for where variable information needs to be included, add business logic into that template. So we might have paragraphs that might be conditionally included based on values that need to be provided. And so this clause may or may not be included whether or not it's a new client, or we may change this based on the state or the jurisdiction in which we're practicing our law. That template then can drive an intake or an interview process. And so that's just a question and answering session with the user in which they can provide answers to information. And so they will go through and fill out that information that's necessary to generate a document, and then based on the answers that they've provided to those questions, they may get one or multiple output documents. So they may have a single questionnaire, but there may be multiple output documents that come as a result of the answers that they provide to that questionnaire. So document automation is ideal for legal documents that you use typically with corporate clients. So you can automate your own documents that you use, or even use forms that some legal publishers provide. So there are legal publishers out there who provide content on document assembly platforms that you can use. So some examples of the types of documents that you might use document automation with would be contracts or sales agreements, NDA work, HR forms. I'm not going to read all of this list here, but leases, merger and acquisitions documents, loans, and other types of proposals. Basically anywhere where you're doing repetitive document creation that can lend itself very well to document automation. And often you're going to gain a significant amount of efficiency by implementing that, because it will allow you to build the business rules and the logic into those documents so that you reduce risk and error, and you allow a nice efficient way to create documents. For example, you can also use document automation to help you attract new corporate clients. One example of that is you might be able to have intakes that go out that use that hot docs questionnaire to allow users to fill out information that would then be used to help with that process of pulling in new clients. You might be able to provide some free services, business formations or other things that you can set up and use as kind of an attracting offering to be able to bring in new corporate clientele. Then also you might be able to add additional benefit to your existing and an attracting piece to a new business as well by providing document assembly as part of an online client portal. So an extranet that you're allowing your clients to access and utilize and provide them additional content through that extranet with document assembly. So we're going to look at a couple of case studies today, and then we're also going to look at a demonstration. So the first case study that we're going to talk about is an AmLaw 200 firm. Now this AmLaw 200 firm had a specific problem within their emerging companies and venture capital practice area. They needed a way to efficiently attract new business. Before I get to the solution there, let me back up and talk about that a little bit more. So at this firm, they're dealing mostly with, in this emerging corporations and venture capital, they're dealing with new business, right? These are new companies that are forming, and they're forming all of the time. And as they work to help them with the formation documentation for their business, they found that it's in their best interest to be able to do as many of these as possible, because a lot of these new companies may not continue to exist. They may not have the success that they're seeking and fail, and then they're not a long-term client of the firm. But for a handful of those, you're going to hit the very successful businesses that are starting up that are going to be an extremely valuable client for the firm for years to come. And so the more you can work with these new businesses and be able to help with formation documentation, the higher percentage, the higher volume, the larger chance you're going to get those very valuable clients in the long run. So that was part of the problem they were trying to solve. They wanted to be able to track this new business, be able to pull in as many possible formations of businesses that they could, so that they could win those new clients. So what their solution was is they wanted to be able to have some document automation that they could use internally for formation documentation, but also provide as a service to their customers some public-facing business formation documents. So while they had various documents that they were working with, there were some specific term letters and term sheets that they wanted to allow users to be able to just use publicly and be able to fill out their own documents and use that as a driver to be able to then take that and win their business and help them with additional documentation, stock certificates, employment agreements, advisors and consulting agreements, and other types of documentation, preferred stock financing, other types of documents they might need to help with that formation of a business. And so they were able to do this and provide that to their customers. So the result was they had a very cost-effective way to service their potential clients. And then they ended up with dozens of new corporate clients coming in, and then new long-term revenue sources. So the more they were cycling through, they were getting more and more clients in, and then with a higher volume, they were going to get a higher number of long-term successful clients that formed their business, had success, and then became those valuable long-term revenue sources for the firm. And so it allowed them to attract the business by having that public-facing website, but also then be more efficient in how they were generating the documents once they were servicing those clients internally as well. And the data from that public-facing website could feed right into their internal document automation process as well to help them with generation of documents. So here's an example of a hot docs interview in that public-facing application they built that they called Term Sheet Creator. And so they had various term sheets that users could just come into for free right off of the firm website and walk through an interview process like this. So this is an example hot docs interview where you can see the various questions the user would just go through and answer, and on the back end they would get a term sheet that listed out the stockholders and the directors and officers and the information they needed for like a founder's term sheet. Okay, so how to retain corporate clients. So once you've got the clients, you want to be able to keep them as well, right? So a public-facing site like that's great for drawing in the business, but you want to be able to keep that business. And so some of those problems we talked about, there's just this higher expectation to deliver high-quality work at a lower cost. And so you've got to look more and more at transactional pricing and things like that, where you really need to be very efficient and reduce your work inside of the firm. So this would allow you to use document automation would allow you to have faster turnaround time and deliver higher quality documents. And then you're going to be able to put in more time for high value services. So rather than having to spend a significant amount of time on documentation, you can spend more time on what's really going to benefit the customer. Also, document automation will allow you to have integrations into other systems. So you might be able to pull data out of existing systems, push data out of the interview into other systems, or the documents into your document storage, your ECM, to be able to really be efficient. So let's take a look at another AmLaw 200 firm. Their problem was they were just having inefficient client interaction to be able to get the information that they needed for documents. But then they were also in their document creation process. They had a process, so it wasn't that there wasn't a good process there, but the process was a little more error-prone and a little more manual than they wanted in creating documents within this particular practice area at the law firm. And then also they had no integration between their content management system, where their documents needed to go when they were finished creating them manually, and they had no integration to really handle things a lot more electronically in today's modern age with and so they were implementing e-signature tools, and they needed an easier way to interact to be able to send those documents off for e-signature. So the solution for them at this law firm is they implemented HotDocs interviews via an extranet to have more efficient client interaction. So now when they needed to gather data for specific documents, or maybe just data, not even generating documents, they created HotDocs interviews that they could present in this extranet to be able to allow their clients to just come into the extranet, fill out some information, and submit it to the attorneys inside of the firm. Then they could have the documents generated automatically as a back-end process. So that HotDocs interview gathers the data that was necessary, the documents generated automatically, and actually get fed into their enterprise content management system. So the documents are automatically profiled into their document management system. Also would allow both the client in the extranet and then the attorneys internally to be able to review either the data that the client submitted, or for the attorneys to be able to review data that the client's providing prior to a client meeting. So they have this process ahead of time that the clients can provide all that information, have the documents ready to go when that client meeting happens. So what happened there is they were able to have more profitable fixed fee projects, which is what their corporate clients were looking for. Save them thousands of hours annually creating documents. And they got into a process now where through document automation, generating 850 plus legal document packages every month. So this really allowed them to gain some great efficiency and provide a greater service to their clients and get a very good return on investment. So as you can imagine, as we've talked about these items, there's various document automation benefits that you really can see. So you're going to see an increased ROI, or return on investment, for your fixed fee services. So if you're having to enter into an engagement with your corporate clients where they're asking for fixed fees for specific processes, then everything you can do to gain efficiency there is really going to be in your best interest, and document automation definitely drives that in the creation of documents in various practice areas within law. It allows you to create powerful integrations. So the demonstration we're going to look at in just a moment has an example of a few integration points in this particular application where it's integrating with a client management, a client matter system to pull client matter information, and then also is integrating with the document management system to push documents into it. And so by creating these powerful integrations, you can save a significant amount of time in the overall workflow process as well, not just the creation of the document, but making sure that the data is right and that it goes into the right systems after the document is created. So these powerful integrations really can gain even more ROI and make sure that you're following your business practices as seamlessly as possible. You can definitely save time on creating documents that, obviously speaks to that return on investment as well. And really, you can also centralize the management of the documents and the data. So a lot of times we see at large and small firms that you might have different practice areas and different groups working a little bit differently. You might have some attorneys creating things locally, some on a network, and you just don't. And even if you're trying to enforce storage in a certain location, centralizing that gets a little more difficult. When you're working with document automation tools and working in an environment where you have a little more control over how those documents get created and where they're going, then you can manage that and control that with greater efficiency within your firm. Then of course you can reduce risk. So the most common competitor to document automation that we see is copy and paste. So the biggest competitor to document assembly tools out there is the old way of take an existing document, make a copy, and make some changes. And that obviously can work very well. It's been done for years and years, but it is very error prone, and it means there's a lot of risk in that type of process. Even with great proofreading, from time to time things can be missed, and a single word, a single typo in a legal document obviously can result in a big difference. For example, using the word free instead of fee, or accept instead of accept. So there are things like that that are very risky, or even including, if you're copying an old document and making changes, including clauses that shouldn't be there, or leaving remnant data in that just gets overlooked. So there's a lot of risk to that method, whereas when you convert into a document automation process, that allows you to go through a process where you're asking the questions, often pulling data from another system in, so your system of record, whether it be your case management tool or something else, can push data in, and there's not duplicate data entry. And then you have the logic built into the template to include or exclude the language that doesn't need to be in the document based on the responses that a user provides. So you significantly reduce that risk. All right, we're going to toggle over to a demonstration now. So what we're going to look at here is an example application implemented at an AmLaw 200 firm. And very similar to the one that I talked about, this is a different firm, but another AmLaw 200 firm had a very similar process that they wanted to work with their emerging companies and venture capital practice area within their business, for all of the same reasons that we talked about in that use case. So what they did is they implemented various hotdocs templates internally. So they didn't implement an external portal. This is all running internally to help them create these documents for formation a lot faster for businesses. And so they implemented this portal that integrates with their client system and their client matters system to be able to pull and search clients and matters that they're actively working on within the firm, and also integrates with their document management system, which in this case is iManage, that I'm going to use in my example. And they created these hotdocs templates in different types, project types that they can create. So whether they're working on some incorporation and startup documentation, whether they're working on founders preferred recap, so some stock certificates and other things related to stock transactions, various document templates that they've created. And so when an attorney in this ECVC, I'm going to use that abbreviation there for emerging companies and venture capital, when an ECVC attorney needs to come in and create some documents for a particular client, they come in and I see a list here, and this is all my test data, of course. They see a list here of existing clients and projects they may have been working on, and they can select and pick up where they left off on some of those, or they can search client matters within their case management system to be able to just choose a specific client to work on. So let's say I've got one here already, but I'm just going to search for Microsoft. So if I click this button, click on Microsoft, and this is going to do a live search of their case management system and let me pick a specific client out of that system. So I'll choose Microsoft. And then that will take me into a client view that will let me see some actions that I can take. So I can do things like start a new project. I can see existing projects I've been working on for this particular client. I can pick up where I left off on one of those, which is what I'm going to do in just a moment. But I have different actions I can take, so they can enter some just company-specific information that applies to all clients. They can create subsidiaries or edit subsidiaries that they might use within this. But otherwise, this just gives them an ability to go and create some documents for a client. So I'm going to just pick up an existing project here. So I'm going to go to this Founders Preferred Recap. So you can see here in this, I have a specific project. It's associated with a specific matter for that client and has a specific project type. And I want to go and create some documents. I've already created some here ahead of time. I'm going to choose Select Documents. And the nice thing about this application is it actually allows them to select multiple output documents that they're going to generate all at once. So I can see the various document templates here. I can check off some. In this case, for this project, these were the 3 I was using previously. So they're automatically selected for me, and I'm going to leave those selected. And then I can go to the Hot Docs interview for this set of documents. So I'm going to hit Selected Document Interview. At this point, we're now in the Hot Docs interview. So this is the Hot Docs interview process. So the Hot Docs interview process gathers the information that I need for generating these documents. Now, I've already filled this interview out to save us time in this webinar today. If I were starting a brand new project, this interview might be completely empty, or it might be seeded with the client information that I already have coming from my client system. So I might have some of the data already answered, and then I might need to fill out some additional data. Here I filled out the majority of the data already. So you can see at this Hot Docs interview that gathers information. And this is a very comprehensive interview in this case, where I can go through and fill out information. You can see there's various field types, so the user might just tab through and answer the questions. They have an outline here on the left-hand side where they can navigate through the interview, or they can use these navigation buttons down below. You can see various interview questions, things that will change maybe based on answers that I provide. This one is set to always be that particular value. Sometimes they might preset values so that you can't change them. There can be logic built into that interview, so things change based on answers that you provide. So if I choose an entity, it might prompt for a signatory name. If I choose individual, then it doesn't. There can be help values assigned to specific questions shown in a panel down below the interview. So I don't see. I have a specific question with the help question. There's one right there. So there's help that the template author can provide that is some optional text that they might see. The user can actually hide that help screen if they want. And as a user, I just go through and answer the questions. This particular Hot Docs integration, to show you some tight integration as well, it links into some contact information as well, so they can even make a selection from some clients from their clients, or contacts from their system as well. Pull that value in, so I can add and delete and edit and select contacts to pull them in. So there's Bill Gates from my fictitious information here. And so as the user, I just go through and answer the questions. When I'm done, I click Finish. And this takes me to a screen where I can see what documents are actually going to be generated. I can actually preview them, so I could download a preview of that document. But this application was built to save all of those documents right into the document management system. And because these are 3 that I've already done, you can see these are the specific document numbers in my document management system. Obviously, you can see I have a test instance with a low number like that. And I've already done it 3 times, so I've got 3 versions. And I can check off whether I want to save this new document as a new version or not. So I can update the current version or save it as a new version. I can provide some specific profile information. Otherwise, I just hit this Assemble and Save to DMS, and it's going to generate those documents, push them into my document management system, and then report back to me, and there's my document numbers and the versions. And if I go to Desk Site for iManage and refresh here, here's my workspace for this fake matter here, and then there's those 3 documents, and they're generated right here in the iManage. I've got them there. I can save them, print them, open them up if I need to. Otherwise, I've got multiple documents generated at one time, data came into that interview, I fill out the additional information, boom, I've got 3, 5, 15 documents all generated and profiled into my system of record very efficiently. So you can see, and there's the actual document there. So you can see the benefit here of how quickly this law firm is able to generate these formation documents, select the client, link right into their client matters, push the documents right into the document management system, all using document automation. So they reduce their risk, they're very efficient in being able to create these documents. So great benefit that HotDocs provides for them. All right, we're going to switch back to our presentation here and wrap up with just a few customer success stories. So first, an AmLaw 100 firm. I'm going to just kind of go through each of these. Thousands of hours saved interacting with clients. And in fact, that's one of the clients that we talked about in our 2 case studies today. Small law firm that's doing over 4,500 plus statewide LLC formations every year. So they're really pushing through HotDocs for LLC formations. An AmLaw 100 firm that's works with banking clients on loan and real estate documents, and they have a 94% reduction in the time it takes them to create the documents since they implemented HotDocs. That's pretty significant. Small law firm that does corporate collection letters every month, and they're doing over 6,000 plus of those every month, significantly increasing their throughput by implementing HotDocs document automation. 900 plus work hours saved monthly, producing telecom contracts for corporate legal business, and then a pro bono business that is now saving they estimate about 50% time savings on producing pro bono documents by implementing document assembly. So you can see there's a significant ability to have a return on your investment, both in risk reduction, both in savings and time to help you have greater returns on fixed fee clients, fixed fee client projects, and really be able to drive your business with corporate clients forward with a competitive advantage. So document automation, the most effective tool you can use for attracting and retaining corporate clients because of all those reasons we've talked about today.